Hey, John Cruz here with another episode of Tackle Test. Here we go, 3 new baits up on the docket. First one is gonna be the Scottsboro Tackle Company 7-inch swim bait. This thing is beautiful. Now, Tim Evans is the one in the back that pours these things up. Andrea, she runs the tackle shop. Scottsboro Tackle Company is an amazing, awesome tackle shop down there on Lake Gunnersville in Scottsboro, but Scottsboro Tackle Company, they make their own swim baits. Like I said, Tim back there in the back, and just looking at it, I love the big, realistic eyes in the bait. I think that is a big key to it. And also the tail, it's not the exact same tail that every other hand-poured swim bait has with that big, round, flat one. This thing is narrower, and it's solid, but yet it's still kind of thin. I really like the way that looks. So that's the Scottsboro Tackle 7-inch swim bait. I think that color is called California Smelt. I think California Smelt looks fantastic. That's the first one we're gonna do. The next one is gonna be the SPRO Spin John 80. This is a spy bait, brand new. Yours truly is the one that designed this. So I can tell you exactly why everything is the way it is on that. There's the real perch version. Beautiful. And then I found these out, it's a company called Raid from Japan, original soft bait series. And this is the Fullswing 5-inch solid swim bait, boot tail swim bait. I always like to try out everything in this swim bait category, because whenever I'm looking to do some, to fish a bait in a category or design a bait in a category, I like to fish everything, because you never know the little nuances, the head shape, tail positioning, things like that, that can change the way that the bait works. So I'm gonna be curious to try this Raid Fullswing swim bait. So the first one we're gonna go with is the Scottsboro Tackle 7-inch swim bait. And just to change it up a little bit, I know for a fact, because I fished it, works fantastic on one of the big, like revenge style swim bait heads. That thing, this bait works great on that, especially fishing it deep. You can do 1/2 ounce, 3/4, even 1 ounce. Throw that thing out there deep on 20, 22 pound test, reel it real slow. But I just figured I'd try it on one of these big swim bait, belly weighted swim bait hooks. This is a 1/2 ounce got that little flash on the bottom, just so I can kind of see a little different action. But as I'm putting this thing in the water, the interesting thing is that, like I said, this tail is a little different, and what it does is it doesn't have a lot of width to it, but it has a lot of depth. So immediately this tail starts to kick out and kick real hard side to side, and that causes that head to start to wobble a little bit. So I like that the length on that bottom looks like it's helping push that head side to side, which I think is a big deal on these bigger handmade swim baits. Yeah, that head has a nice kick side to side. Yeah, this is an absolute winner of a bait right here. Yeah, if they're feeding on those big gizzard shad wherever you're fishing, anywhere on the Tennessee River, or I mean, there's big gizzard shad on lakes all over the country, but this should be something you seriously should take a look at. That's that big Scottsboro Tackle. Old Tim back there in the back, poured this one up, as he does every single one. He does them all by hand. That's all he's doing now, full time in the back with that. So that is pretty freaking cool. Underwater footage going to be off the chain with that. If you hadn't already seen that, going to be off the chain. But next, I'm going to just move over here to the SPRO Spin John 80. And like I said, I designed this bait. I've been fishing spy baits for a number of years. And the funny thing about this bait, the funny thing about spy baits is that I saw a little blurb, some article about spy baits, and I thought it was a joke. I mean, I thought it was a fad. I was like, It's nothing. I mean, what clear water fish is going to bite a little tiny bait with 2 blades on it, just reeling it through the water? I didn't get it. I didn't understand. But I have caught hundreds, let's say hundreds of bass on a spy bait since then, and some of them had flaws, and so I went ahead and designed one with SPRO. I felt like it was a strong enough category to where we could take what we do at SPRO, make this bait much better, improve it. And then one of the first things we did is we put swivels on the front and on the back. Now what that does is that when a fish grabs this middle hook and he's out there fighting, because with a spy bait, these smaller spy baits, you want to fish them on a lighter line, 8 pound, 8 pound is tops. You really want to fish it on 6, maybe 7. 6 pound is probably what I would prefer. A lot of the diehard spy bait guys are fishing it on 4 pound test. Not for me, not for me. 4 pound, but I'll do it on 6 quite a bit if I'm not around a lot of heavier cover. But what that does is that lighter line, when you get those fish on this front hook, this front swivel allows that to spin so that those fish don't get any leverage and be able to rip that hook out of their mouth. They can spin around, and if they come up here and grab that back treble hook, it also spins, and then that back swivel also extends the treble hook from where that blade is spinning. I really feel like that a lot of fish come up behind and just nip at this bait and will hit that blade, being that swivel helps extend the treble hook away from the body of the bait and away from that blade. You get a better hookup ratio. And then we did little, on some of the baits, we did little feathers on that back treble with a little teeny bit of flash. We're talking, remember, clear water, super clear. And then we matched up the blade colors to the bait. Like this is a real perch, and this is a gold colored. But again, on the front, you can see what's different. It's got that little lip, and what that lip does is as it comes through the water, it helps dissipate the water, helps push the water, and it helps make that bait rock as it's coming through the water real slow, which you'll see on that underwater footage. I cannot wait. And the fall rate, as this thing falls, it has a hard shimmy just like that, and you can throw it a mile. Again, here's the setup that I like for it. It's a 7-foot 6-inch Cashin medium action rod. You don't want it to be too heavy. You want it to be pretty light. This is a shad color. We'll be able to see this a little bit better with the underwater footage. Definitely, I'm just kind of throwing it out there. The blades spin immediately. It's got that slight shimmy as I'm just barely starting to pull it through the water. Got that hard shimmy when I slow it down. And then as the bait falls, we weighted it so that it falls horizontally, and it has a wicked hard shimmy on the fall. And that can be key too. If you ever fish a spy bait very much, you're going to be just steadily reeling it, and then you want to kill it maybe and let that thing shimmy on the way down. But I'll tell you one other key. In addition to the 6-pound test, you like to have at least a 20 to 22 foot leader on this. That 20 to 22 foot leader is key because you want to be able to, when you make those long casts, that fluorocarbon will help hold that spy bait down. And then on the back end, I've got 12-pound Sunline braid, SX1 or the new X Plasma. Either one works fine. But again, that's with that 7.5 foot medium action, real light tip, because that 6-pound is the deal. And then I got a Daiwa Tatula LT spinning reel. You just want to have something with really smooth drag because again, 6-pound test, big smallmouth, big spotted bass, and big largemouth, they'll all eat this thing. But you're gonna throw that bait out there. You're gonna just reel it real slow. I mean, like dead crawl it. Depending on how deep you're gonna be fishing it, you may be fishing it in 8 or 10 feet of water. You might throw it out there and let it count to 2 or 3 and then start slowly reeling it, because if you reel it slow enough, that bait's gonna shimmy and get deeper at the same time, and the blades are gonna spin. The whole works is gonna be happening at one time. So the little spy bait, I've caught some fish on this thing already, just an absolute hammer. And again, this is the this is the nasty shad, and as you can see, the back blade has that black nickel, and the front blade has a red on it, and just a little something different. It's got that little white flash on the back. Again, all the colors, we kind of match that up, something a little bit different as well. So we have the action and the color and the function all going at one time. I think that's a big key. We'll fish that around here in a minute. Then our final one is this Raid from Japan, the Fullswing 5-inch. Now what I did is I took a Gamakatsu belly weighted swim bait hook. This is a 3/16 ounce weight. It's probably a, kind of a middle of the road weight. The body on this thing, as I'm feeling it, it's not as soft as I thought it was going to be. I thought it would be a little bit softer because it's pretty wide in there. So that's why I went with the 6/0 hook, and it's got, for a 5-inch body, it's got a pretty big tail. So I'm expecting a pretty hard tail swing. I mean, the name of it's Full Swing, so probably going to be a pretty hard one. So as I pull it through the water, oh, it's got a really good head shake to it, as you would imagine with that big tail. Yeah, that's gonna do some damage right there, I can tell you. I don't know about the hookup ratio with this. We might throw that around here in a minute, but the hookup ratio may be a little bit off. I don't know yet. 6/0 hook may counteract that, being a little bit bigger hook. You could probably put it on a jig head. I don't know if you'd get that same head kick, but this big Gamakatsu 6/0 should not have any problem with the hook set. But again, body's kind of thick. That's the only thing that worries me with it. But the only one way to tell is go out and catch a bunch of fish on it, or at least get a bunch of bites on it and try to get that thing going. So I'm gonna go ahead and stand up and start fishing all these baits, and we'll see what happens. So I'm out here chucking this big old 7-inch Scottsboro Tackle swim bait. And as I said, I liked how that tail kick really was different, because that tail's different than most of them. It's different than the Bass Tricks, and than all the other ones that knocked off the Bass Tricks. But the one thing I'm noticing is that, this is a pretty good size weight. It's like, I think it's about 3/4. But I could fish this 3/4 with the blade on it in 10 or 15 feet of water easily. This tail does not cause the bait to rise like a big Bass Tricks does. If you threw a 7-inch Bass Tricks with the same head, that bait would want to stay up quite a bit more. So you can get away with a lighter weight on this. A lighter weight, which I like. You don't have to get that heavy skabloosh landing in the water. You don't have to throw quite as heavy. I don't know exactly the rate, but I would say probably a 1/4 ounce lighter. Kind of get the same effect for the fishing. And you can burn it. You can burn it real fast through the water too, and it looks good. That is going to be fun. That's going to be fun. But all right, so now I'm going to kind of get to the fishing portion with the little Spin John 80. And you can tell it casts a mile. Got it on that 6-pound leader, a Sunline Sniper. That's something, just peck at it right there. Throwing it right down the shade line on a little secondary point. It's post spawn here right now, so there's an outside chance we get bit right here. We just saw a fry garter over there on the bank. This is you can see it's real easy to cast. You can bomb it out there a mile. Clear water is going to be good. If you got some wind, that really helps that spy bait bite. But don't let it be. It's not like a jerk bait or a swim bait. You can definitely catch them when it's just dead slick on that spy bait. I don't know why. I've had some pretty good days on the spy bait. when it's almost dead slick, they will come up and still eat it. I don't know why. Maybe that's just part of the intrigue with it. But the other bait is the little full swing 5-inch swim bait. The thing's got some meat to it, so it casts pretty good. Seems to be fishing pretty good. As I said before, this thing has a lot of tail swing. Yeah, even when I stop reeling it, that tail is still kicking as it's falling. That's a sign of that's what I like to see in a swim bait. Is you know, you can just reel it along, stop reeling it, let it sink, and that tail still kicks. I can't tell you the number of times I've been fishing a swim bait, especially deeper. You throw it out there and you're letting that bait fall, and then boom, they hit it. It's something about that tail being able to kick as it's falling will definitely get you bit. So that is a good attribute to look for whenever you're fishing swim baits. All right, well that's the Raid swim bait. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Tackle Test. And again, be sure to stay tuned for the next one. If you got any suggestions for other baits you want me to test, be sure to put that down in the comments in the bottom. I'll take a look at those periodically, and maybe you'll see one of your baits that you want to see tackle tested right here with John Cruz, with me. That's me, with me, John Cruz, because I like to do tackle and chill. We'll see you next time.